Well, hello, everybody. My name is Rachel Rubin Ladutke, and I am the playwright of The Way Home, which is featured in Rogue Theater Festival. And I'd like to allow my friend to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about her connection to the Wickham-Verse, as we call it.
Well, hello, Rachel. Thank you for having me. My name is Lisa Brigantino. I'm a songwriter, composer, and multi-instrumentalist. And my connection to the Wiccan-Verse is a long history with Rachel supplying music for various productions over the years. Um, and she reached out to me a few years back with some interest in a few of my songs for the first play in the series, The Wickham Way. And I thought it was a great idea. And I love collaborating with people. I'm particularly interested in music as it relates to theater, whether it be a musical or a play. I'm working on a few other theatrical productions right now. So I'm really um, interested in that and in how I can work in that area. And it just seemed that these songs worked really well for your needs, right, Rachel?
Yeah, it was crazy. So the Wickham Way is, as Lisa said, it's the first part of what became a trilogy. The Way Home is the final play, and the one in the middle, which we'll gloss over momentarily, is the only one that does not have Lisa's wonderful music in it. But the germ of the idea of using Lisa's music was
Yeah.
that one of the central characters is a folk singer. And I'd known Lisa's own catalog for quite a while. And when I started writing The Wickham Way, which actually was more than a few years ago, but I finally
Yeah.
got it right about 4 years ago during the beginning of the pandemic. Um,
Right.
it just seemed like two of her songs in particular, which are called Sarah and Those Days, just fit perfectly into the story. And um, as it evolved, I ended up using four songs, and each of the songs, along with the fifth one that we use in The Way Home, suits a very different purpose, and they're all done in a different way. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But
Yeah.
what was really perfect about those days is that it encapsulates the theme of the Wickham Way and kind of, comes back to the other plays, especially The Way Home, even in the title, is being able to find your roots, come back to your roots and find strength in them, even if you can't actually get them back. Is that a good way of putting it?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I originally wrote the song for my sister, um, who's my only sibling. So it was kind of a reflection back on our childhood and maintaining that relationship through our lives and the strength that you get from having those ties, earlier in your life. So it seemed like a perfect match.
So Liza in the Wickham Way, just to give a quick synopsis, she comes back to this small town in Vermont where she grew up, and she hasn't been back in 10 years since she had some sort of traumatic experience around the time she graduated high school. You learn about that as the play unfolds, and she also brings her girlfriend with her. And of course, they run into her ex-childhood best friend, Charlie, who, of course, is the last person she wants to run into. So that's sort of the genesis of it. Lisa kindly offered to play some of those days on her guitar, and then
Yeah.
I'll talk about how we use the music in the show.
Do you remember those days when we could laugh our troubles away? Yeah. Not long ago, childhood seem like they never would end. Oh, those days. As we got older, the toys got put away, and other things slowly took their place, all grown up with minds of our own. But sometimes I long for the safety of home and those days. That's about what was used in the Wickham Way.
It is indeed. Thank you. Always nice to hear the actual performance. Folks, Lisa has a number of wonderful self-produced CDs. Actually, that and Sarah, I think, are both on the same one, which came out quite a while ago. But so that's about 2 minutes of that song. Now, people are always like wondering what is a play with music as opposed to a musical.
Right.
So how would you define that?
Well, I think a play with music supports the story a little bit, well, quite a bit differently than a musical would. Where a musical, the story of the musical is being moved along literally by the music as well as the dialogue, and the music in a musical is just another, for me, like another type of dialogue to get the work moving along. And I feel like a play with music, it's a little more set back. It's not so obvious. And I think it leaves you a little more flexibility in how that music can be interpreted. It's not quite as in your face.
Very well put. Very well put. So in the Wickham Way and the Way Home, as I said, each of the songs, even though they're not furthering the plot, quote unquote, like they're not the characters singing.
Right.
Liza is, so tuned into the singer-songwriter verse as you are, that it was just such a natural fit. And I never really asked you, did you think I got that stuff right? You saw The Way Home too, so
Yeah, I think you did. I think you did. In reflecting back on that, to thinking about our discussion today, the only thing that I was thinking about that might be not quite on the nose is there's one part where Charlie says, I bought your demo. He wouldn't buy a demo. A demo is strictly a peer-to-peer, look what I can do, giving it to a publisher or a record company. So that's the only thing I would say.
What word should I change?
The word change would be, I bought your EP.
You got it.
EP, which is like a short, 4-song album.
4 or
That's
5.
the only thing. That's the only thing.
Awesome. No,
But
that's
that's
great.
just,
See, it hasn't been published yet, so I'm
being
good.
really picky. Yeah, yeah.
Good. I'll catch that before it gets published. Hopefully.
Yeah.
So the 4 songs in the Wickham Way, the first one is Sarah, and all 3 of them are set in this bed and breakfast inn that's owned by Charlie's grandfather. At the beginning of the first one, she grew up, knowing him also. He was also her English teacher. His wife is also her music teacher. So, small towns.
Right.
So she's alone at night and she's playing Sarah because she can't sleep. She really does not want to be there. And she's kind of trying to get her nerves out, I guess.
Yeah.
And so you only hear about a minute or so of that one. And then second is Those Days.
Right.
At that point, Charlie, of course, has showed up and she does not want to deal with him. And he's in the other room and he comes back in to hear her singing and playing this song. And I always felt like she, he thinks, at least whether or not it's true, that she wrote it about him.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's like a really powerful moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the third one, which we added in later, you could give us a little information about that one, the little concert clip one.
Right, right. That was Every Day's a Journey,
Yeah, the
which
only
we
rocker in the bunch.
yeah, and actually it's yeah, that's I'll just play a little bit of that
Yep.
because it's
That's all Liza does. She plays like a minute.
every day's a journey. Every day's a chance. Every day there's one more way to travel your own path. So that was used. A recording was used so as if you're hearing Liza at the concert.
Yeah, she
So
gets
she's
called up to play a concert in her old hometown, so very
right.
constantly kicking and screaming.
Yeah, yeah. So that worked out well, and yeah, that was a song that you had interest in and weren't quite sure where it was going to go, and that worked perfectly.
Yeah, as a player, I picked the exact wrong place, and then everybody that read the play in when we were developing was like, no, that doesn't belong there. This kind of song belongs there. How about putting this one there? And I was like, yeah, concert. That sounds like a third encore for a
Yeah, right, right.
concert
Yeah,
crowd at the old high school. Um,
yeah, yeah. It's funny. When
that
I
one.
first recorded it, it's the recording I have of it is it's just me and my guitar. But now my sister and I went perform it, so there's
I'm
the
going to
harmony
make it
vocals.
to one of your shows. I will. So the fourth one was the one that I added later, and we don't want to have too many spoilers, but basically, Liza's career is starting to take off in addition to all of the other stuff that she's dealing with. And she's going to be apart from her girlfriend, Marty, for the first time in um, their whole relationship, really, almost 4 years. She said they've barely spent a night apart. And
Yeah,
so she writes this song because she's trying to explain how she feels about her, and she's not real good at like talking through it. So it's called I Will. So
yeah,
that was the one that I said maybe we just need to tweak the words a little or something, and or it's really long, but the sentiment is perfect. And then we ended up, Lisa just said, let me trim down the guitar stuff, the
right.
beautiful instrumentals, because when you're on stage, you don't,
Yeah,
you know, watching
yeah.
the
But
play, you don't need the beautiful
you
instrument.
have to make adjustments
But
for the theatrical stuff. That's not a
yeah.
problem.
So of course the challenge then is, which we haven't managed to do yet, but we will when it is produced professionally, is to find a Liza that can not only play the part convincingly, but can also sing well, which we did have, and
Hmm.
play the guitar convincingly enough to be a professional musician, which we have not found yet, but it's all
Right,
good. So
right.
so we kind of did a little sleight of hand with Wickham, and we had the actress with a guitar, but it was Lisa's guitar that you heard and Jennifer's singing. So
Hmm.
we do a little bit of that same kind of trick with The Way Home, but it's a little easier to do on Zoom. So
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Lisa's songs just reflected the aesthetic so perfectly. I asked her to do all kinds of other crazy things over the years, like I think you wrote original music for The Miracle Worker, incidental music, and
The Miracle Worker, uh, a, a Quantum Trek.
right,
Remember that?
the Quantum Leap Star Trek
Oh,
math.
Quantum Leap, right. The
They
Star
wrote
Trek, a
original
Quantum Leap. Oh,
songs
yeah.
for that. Worf sang.
Worf sang, yes. Yeah, that was fun. I remember
It
that.
was
Yeah,
fun. It was fun. I'll have to dig that up sometime.
yeah. Oh, and I think the very first thing we worked on together is you used some of my songs in a production of Butterflies Are Free.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I mean that's like a long time ago.
Long time. We're older than we look.
Yeah, that's right.
We won't tell. Yeah, so that's how things kind of evolved with the Wickham-Verse. And then there was one other song of Lisa's that I've always loved so much that I've even sung it myself a few times. My apologies.
That's okay. No,
And
I'm all for it.
I'm so privileged with my actors and with you. And I often say it, what a spoiled playwright I am. But we're part of that, my
Yeah.
friend. So The Way Forward is the second one, and it takes place 3 years later. Liza and Marty are now married. Charlie is involved with somebody, and they come up to visit, and Marty's mother, who hasn't really been a part of their lives for much of their time together, shows up on the doorstep. They now own this inn, which is called the Wickham Way. That's the name of the first one. And this one is called The Way Forward. So they're sort of moving on ahead with their lives, and changes in the air. Some people are a little less thrilled about some of the changes going on in their lives than some other people are. So again, 5 characters in the same
Right.
place. Did not find a place music for that one, but interestingly enough, Liza's career has really taken off. And I'm glad to know it seems like this is feasible. So at the beginning of this play, she's actually just coming back from her first tour of Europe. So
Mm-hmm.
as a headliner. So
Uh-huh.
did a little name dropping in the Wickham Way because I'm a huge Dar Williams fan, and apparently this big break that she's got is she's going to go out and be opener act for Dar Williams. So
Right.
it's still timeless because she still plays, and we can always
Yeah,
see it.
she's still doing her thing. Mm-hmm.
She is and I stole a few things from her because I love that New England folk scene thing,
Yeah.
and I stole a joke from somebody, not her, somewhere in it, and I have Marty telling Charlie that the first time she heard Liza play, the first song was hilarious, and the second one Liza played had her crying her eyes out, and she never does that. Well, that's exactly what happened the first time I saw Dar. That's like
Mm-hmm.
straight flashback. And then Charlie tells Liza that she's one of the best songwriters of their generation, and I feel that way about Dar, but
Yeah.
and about Lisa Brigantino.
Oh.
True fact. Yeah, so they're moving on. I wouldn't say it's more of a personal play, but it's just kind of dealing with like different
Yeah.
phases in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another time jump for 6 more years to The Way Home. And that is I call my community theater play because the others have 5 characters, and this one brings back everybody from the first 2 plays plus more people that you've only heard about, people that you
Mm-hmm.
haven't met before, this annoying British couple that's spending their honeymoon at the inn. And, they're simply huge fans of Liza. So that's just great for her,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in her space. I had this song called The Wandering. I never found a place for it in the Wickham Way, but it's always been one of my favorite of songs of Lisa's, maybe my favorite sometimes. And we were developing the script for Home over the past year. I think it was completed to my reasonable satisfaction around last May. So I've had actors on Zoom working with various parts of the Wickham-Verse, and Liza, Marty, Ben, and Charlie I refer to them as the Golden Quartet.
Mm-hmm.
Ben's not in the first one, but they're really the center of everything.
Yeah.
The center of the Wickham-Verse. So Aaron, who's playing Ben, after we finished the play, he said, it's just a shame, because now she's supposed to be so famous, again, 6-year time jump, that she's also been nominated for a Grammy, and she's going out to LA, and she's going to write a movie score, which I know all of that's feasible. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he said, it's just too bad that we can't fit in a song somewhere. And there's a central character in Home, which is Liza's brother Danny has 5 children. His middle child comes out as non-binary.
Mm.
Danny has some strong reactions to that. He's not a bad guy, but he's kind of very, this is the way things are. This is the way things should be. This is who you are. And so Jamie, the teenager, basically hops a bus and comes to Wickham, Vermont to try to get some emotional support, I guess, from that side of the family. And early in the play, everybody's trying to get Jamie to talk about what's going on. Why did you just show up here? And Jamie's like, no, I want to talk to Liza. So Jamie and Liza finally do get to talk. she's trying to draw Jamie out. One of the things that she says is, "Do you want to hear this new song I'm working on?" Because Jamie also plays music. Jamie plays drums,
Hmm.
and so that is how we use the wandering.
Yeah. And also you do use it in this particular production, this virtual production. You also have it come back
I
right for the end
do.
credits.
You'll get
Yeah.
to hear Lisa's entire version over the credits.
So, how's your drumming coming along?
Oh, the teacher said I'm getting pretty good. Some of my friends at school are talking about starting a band.
That's something. Oh, would you like to hear what I was working on today?
Really?
Sure. I mean, I was gonna play this for Marty, but you can be my guinea pig. Last take, take 3. There were times when a childhood smile was answer enough, answer enough. There were moments in my misty past when the world was a street where I lived. But these days now, they're unprotected days, and I find I'm no longer in the shade of arms open wide, inviting me to stay. Although they often warned us, they never could prepare us for the wandering. The wandering. What is it? What's wrong? You didn't like it?
Uh, what? Are you serious? That's not it. No, it's just, I mean, I, that's exactly how it feels. Like I can't go home. I don't even know the way home. Not anymore.
Yeah, so
I get asked about that song a lot too. I'm really glad that you resonated with it.
from day one, my friend, you know that.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you for including it. Yeah.
Doing the musical track with Katie, that took like 5 minutes.
Yeah, right.
That was the easy part. And we were putting in all these like doorbells and knocking and
Oh yeah.
cars screeching
All
away.
the Foley, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wait, just wait. That was an education in itself. But also, it's not only something that connects with Jamie emotionally, but if you're familiar with the Wickham-Verse, and I've prided myself on each of the three plays being able to stand on their own.
Yeah,
But
right.
it's great if you know Wickham when you see the way forward or whatever, but you don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
Enough built into it. At least I tried
Right.
really hard to make it that way.
Yeah.
But what Jamie's going through, trying to figure out where home is the same thing that Liza's going through in the first one. And it's one
Mm-hmm.
of those things I didn't realize until I finished writing it. So it's amazing. Um, do you feel about your songwriting like I do with my writing, that when you're really like in the groove, you just get out of the way and put it down on paper or on a recording? Does it like when it flows, you're like, oh my God,
It
on something.
there are songs like that. There are, other things that are more laborious, depending on what I'm working on. The kind of inspirational songwriting where you're just kind of letting the universe flow through you is the rarest of for me of the different writing that I do. I mean, sometimes I have to write a 60-second commercial in 2 days.
Right, sure.
That's a whole different thing. But there are some songs of mine that, yeah, they just came like that. There are other things that have taken longer. It just kind of depends. It really depends. But when it does happen like that, it's just a terrific feeling. There's nothing like it. And It's for me though, it's really about craft. The marriage of craft with that little spark that like we each have in us, the creative spark we have. I don't care who you are or what you do, but there's a creative spark, and it's hooking that into when you hook that into your craft, it's just then it can be there at your fingertips when you need it, you
It's amazing.
know? Yeah.
I refer to it as like they're talking. I'm just typing what they
Oh
say.
yeah, yeah. Oh
Like, I'm
yeah.
getting out of the way.
Get out of the way.
There's this writing challenge that the Dramatists Guild does in April, and so 2 years ago I was like, wait, what if this happened? And I decided to try writing the way forward, and I wrote it that month,
Yeah.
basically. I mean,
Yeah.
and before it was finished, like really that draft was done, but before I really got that right, I got the idea for the way home, and I was like, where the hell is this coming from? And my friend is like, well, these people, this world, they trust you now. So it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah, exactly. So you're right in it. Yeah. I've
yeah.
been working on a play with music, which almost borders a little more of a more of a musical, but we're calling it a play with music with my friend Susan Hafner called Alma B, and that is a story about her relationship with her grandmother and her grandmother's story. And so I've been writing music for that, co-writing with her, and that's been a really fun experience. And that's something we started at the beginning of the pandemic.
Is she a
She
playwright as
started
well?
working on that and then brought me in. So we had something to work on. And so that's been great. And we had a reading up in at New London Barn, New Hampshire back
Oh,
in
how
April,
exciting.
a staged reading with an invited audience.
How
So
did it go? Were you happy
it's
with it?
all good. It's like just keep working at these things.
So she's a playwright and a composer.
She's a playwright and she's songwriting with
Full time.
me, and of course is a triple threat and a Broadway veteran. So there's a good history there for her. Yeah.
Yeah, so that I love all these connections, and I mean honestly, I wouldn't have gotten back into it, or I can't say that, but having to do Zoom theater like made me realize how much I missed the writing, and now
Yeah.
I just can't stop.
Well, that's great. And like you say, just get out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. And so you're satisfied with the way your music is used, and you think that it lends itself well to the.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you've always been very respectful of, keeping me in the loop, involved in the process, and, asking the right questions. And are you okay if we have to cut this down? And, all of
Yeah,
those things there's always been good communication about that. So, yeah, I'm all for it. I'm at that point in my life where I want my material out there and used, and
exactly.
of course I'm careful about what it is used in, but that being said,
You're honored.
you know, it's really great to be able to collaborate with you, Rachel.
Same. And I did tell Katie that when you heard the recording, you said nice, and I'm sure that put like a huge smile on her.
Yeah, yeah, she did a good job.
So watch The Way Home, and
Yep.
look for the Wickham-Verse, and hopefully it will all be on its feet.
There were times when a childhood smile was answer enough, answer enough. There were moments in my misty past when the world was the street where I lived. But these days now, they're unprotected days, and I find I'm no longer in the haze of arms open wide, inviting me to stay. have to go, won't have to go. I think certainly this can be home. I can hang up my coat and my hat. Then the hunger comes beating at my door, and I know I can't stay here anymore. It pulls at me so, with a tug I can't ignore. Although they often warned us, they never could prepare us for the wandering, the wandering. To be continued.